So you're thinking about getting into FPV, but you keep hearing, start with an FPV simulator first, and then boom. You're hit like with 15 different options. Half of the firms are arguing, and somehow everybody's got a different best pick. I get it. I've been there. Look, I spent too many hours testing these sims, probably more than I should admit, and I'm gonna cut through all the noise for you. Today, we're breaking down the top 3 FPV simulators for beginners in 2025 and beyond, plus a couple of bonus options that might be perfect for you depending on your situation. And hey, before we dive in, if this helps you out, smash that like button and subscribe. It really does help the channel, and I got tons of more FPV content coming your way. Now, here's the thing about simulators. They're not just some gimmicks, alright? You will not be able to fly an FPV drone in acro mode without practicing into an FPV simulator first. Nobody can, and if you do, you will crash. I guarantee you this, okay? Don't be that person. These 3 sims will actually teach you muscle memory, save you money, and honestly, they're pretty fun too. So, first up, we got Liftoff. And probably you heard about this. So Liftoff is probably where most of you should start. It's like, how to describe it, like a friendly instructor who's been teaching people to fly for years. Because it's been around since forever, and there's a reason it's still the go-to recommendation for most FPV pilots. They have a proper tutorial system, but that's not the way I recommend this. It's just something about it. Maybe it's the friendly interface, or because it's deemed to go for many FPV simulators, and as well it's stable, and ultimately it's more than anyone actually needs to learn flying FPV drones in acro mode. It is one of the top beginner FPV simulators you know, always has been. I personally started years ago practice in Liftoff, and I turned out to be just fine. Myself and probably millions of other FPV pilots. Eventually, after I learned the basics, I carried from there. But to be honest, never used the tutorial system, neither in Liftoff nor in any FPV simulator. I feel like the most proper way is to follow a basic guide on FPV stick control, which only takes a few minutes to learn, and then keep practice at it. It's as simple as that. Years later, I still practice in Liftoff, and it's one of my favorite FPV simulators. Don't know why, it just is. It has lots of contents, dozens of drone models, Steam Workshop, custom track, realistic replicas, and so on. Basically everything you need to practice for months and never get bored, especially if you fancy to have fun in FPV simulators, okay? Well, the physics are solid, not the absolute most realistic, and the community is huge and super helpful as far as I know. Okay, it's an old simulator, it's a well-known, so there's a large community for it. Go and have fun. Practice in multiplayer after you learn the basics with others if you want to. I've done it. And performance-wise, it runs pretty much decently on any medium-range computer or Mac. Okay, it looks good without being a resource hog like some other FPV simulators, and it is on Steam on sales constantly, so you may even get a discount. Look, I haven't been affiliated, I've never been affiliated with Liftoff, and they never sponsored me. This is just my personal experience because I used Liftoff for a very long time alongside other FPV simulators, and I still, after years and years, I still create content around Liftoff, and they keep improving the simulator constantly. Okay, number 2 is Velocidrone, and this is where the things gets real. Okay, so Velocidrone isn't gonna hold your hand, alright? There's no fancy tutorial, the graphics looks there like from 2015, maybe 2000, anyway. And the interface, it's, let's just call it functional. But here's the thing, this sim will make you a better pilot, period. Velocidrone has the most realistic physics from any simulator, hands down. I'm talking about pilots who spend hundreds of hours in Velocidrone walking up to a real quad and for the first time just flew perfectly. This is the kind of muscle memory transfer we're talking about. Of course, you don't need to practice for hundreds of hours unless you want to. And the content? Hundreds of user-made tracks, many of them the exact replicas of racing circuits. And there's this cool feature called Nemesis mode where you can race against ghost labs of other pilots at your skill level, so you're always pushing yourself to improve. Look, I'm not gonna lie, okay? If you never touched an FPV before, FPV drone or FPV simulator before, Velocidrone might kick your butt at first. Okay, you'll crash a lot and you'll find a bit more difficult to start with it than with Liftoff. But if you stick with it for even a few hours, you'll develop skills that directly transfers to real FPV flying. Plus, it runs on absolutely pretty much anything, including ancient laptops. But don't take my word for it, okay? Check the system requirements and check your system, your laptop, to make sure it runs perfectly fine for you before buying it. And yeah, the price, it's fair. And honestly, if you're serious about getting into racing or most realistic training possible, then Velocidrone is definitely your sim to go. And third up is Uncrashed FPV. So Uncrashed is what happens when developers actually listen to the community and they keep improving the sim. It launched a few hours ago, but the devs has been absolutely crushing it with updates. And we're talking about multiplayer, map editor, realistic prop damage. They basically built into it like a full-feature FPV simulator. And it looks incredible. The graphics are stunning and easily the best looking sim you can get, balancing quality and performance. Okay? Flying through those environments is like flying in a movie. I don't know, it's very smooth. But here's what makes perfect for beginners. It's incredibly intuitive. The menus make sense, the controller setup is straightforward, and the physics hit a sweet spot between realistic and forgiving. I love that Uncrashed was working well even on some semi-decent computers, including my old M2 Mac, which fair enough was a cheap entry-level laptop, and that was not made for gaming. Still, it crushed it, even with higher details. So, Uncrashed FPV, it is a little bit pricier than the other ones, and you will want to have a decent graphic card to be able to enjoy the visuals and set all the settings to maximum, but you don't need like a high-end computer. And honestly, for what you actually get and all the features and active development of Uncrashed, it does worth every penny. Alright, before we wrap up, let me throw you a couple of bonus options that might be perfect for your specific situation. First up is FPV SkyDive by Orqua, and this one is completely free, which is pretty awesome. Now, it's basic compared to the big three, but if you're literally just testing the waters or you're not sure if FPV is right for you, just download this straight away because it costs nothing, there's zero risk, you can find it on Steam, yeah, for free, you can just download it and try it without spending a dime. But just remember, you will need an FPV remote controller. We're gonna just carry on and go for the second one, which is FPV Logic. And this is a newer sim and that's been getting some serious praise from freestyle pilots. It's lightweight, the physics feels really authentic for freestyle flying, and it's designed specifically for people who want to learn FPV acro freestyle. Anyway, the environments are simple but well designed, and honestly, if freestyle is calling to you, this might be the perfect starting point. But if you are here for the first time trying to get into FPV, maybe start with one of those three mentioned above. So here is my honest recommendation. If you are a complete beginner who wants structures and help along the way and you're just getting into FPV, start with Liftoff. It's been the safest bet. You'll have fun immediately and there's a massive community to support you if you ever need. I started with Liftoff and millions of pilots likely started with Liftoff Simulator. It hasn't been a wrong choice, okay? You can go from 0 to hero in no time with that. But if you're the type who wants to jump straight into the deep end and you're serious about racing or getting the most realistic training possible, then you should go with Velocidrone. It is harder indeed, but you will thank me later. And if you want like a hybrid, the best of both worlds, there you have the Uncrashed FPV, which is still beginner friendly and have good graphics and has good physics system. Look, here's the real talk. Any of these three FPV simulators will teach you the skills you need. The most important thing is to just pick one and get starting. Some people spend weeks researching this perfect sim instead of just flying in one. Don't be that person. Get whichever speaks to you, connect a proper FPV controller if you can, set your rates to low to start and just put in the hours. Within a few days you will get the hang out of it. Within a few weeks you will have the muscle memory and confidence to handle a real life quad safely. That's with minimal practice. And hey, once you pick a sim and start flying, drop a comment and let me know how it's going. I love hearing about people's first FPV experiences, and if this video helps you choose, definitely hit that like button. It really helps me and it really helps the algorithm. And subscribe if you want more FPV content, because I got reviews, tutorials and probably way too much FPV simulators content coming your way. Thank you for watching and I will see you around.